Going to officially start. All right, welcome you guys. I'm going to do a little screen share here so you can see our slides. Okay, and then let's pull this up. I'm not super techie, so we'll just hope this goes well.
How is the view? Should we turn the blinds up a bit, or?
Oh yeah, let's do that. Good idea. Yeah, there. I can pull this down too. Okay, awesome. All right. Well, we'll get started. So first of all, I just want to tell you really quickly that this trip for all of us came about super last minute. The way that dōTERRA does their sourcing trips is really interesting. So it's a lottery. And people who want to do it apply for the lottery. You have to be a certain rank in dōTERRA, silver rank or higher, or you can be somebody's +1. You can be their guest, and then there's no requirement. So I saw online that a friend and team member of mine actually won the lottery, and she was not able to go. So she was putting her ticket up. So I messaged her privately, and I was like, can I have your ticket? I'd love to go. She goes, actually, somebody already took it, and you're going to laugh. It's actually Julie and Kelly.
I did not know that.
I was like, oh my gosh, that's awesome. So,
I bet that's not what you really thought.
No, I wanted to go even more. So I called corporate and emailed them, and I was desperate. They're like, sorry, it's full. I'm like, please create a spot for me. You don't understand. These are my best girlfriends. And like, we live in the same town. We're on the same team. And
if I stay in their room, like,
yeah. If I'm the third wheel, can I come? And they created a spot for me.
Wow.
So it all kind of came together really quickly. And I seriously, even up until the day I bought my ticket, like stuff happened. Like my grandfather passed away and stuff. And I didn't know if my mom would be able to babysit my kids. Anyway, it all worked out, and it was really amazing. And we're really excited to share. So lots of fun stuff. We have a gazillion slides, so prepare to be overwhelmed. But the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to stop the slides because, hold on, I want to share with you a video that I think you guys are going to appreciate and love.
Oh, good. It's the one that makes me cry.
And you know what? I just realized that if it's plugged in, that you're not going to be able to hear it.
Yeah.
You can, but you have to like, it goes through here. So it's like, it's not connected on the laptop. Let's see here. Yeah, it won't let me adjust the sound on the laptop. That's maxed.
These women go out every single morning as they collect their wintergreen leaves, and they fill these baskets full, and they carry them all the way down the mountainside, oftentimes having to stop along the way to take a break.
About 5
and they
kilometers.
do this every single day to be able to provide for their family. But yet when you look at these mountain regions, they are so far removed from any city. What other opportunity do they have to truly be able to provide for their family? They don't. And now we come in with an opportunity that provides them what the needs they need to create that income. They get up in the morning before the kids are awake and are able to provide for their family, whether that be through school supplies, whether it be food for the family. They're able to work as much as they want because of our demand for wintergreen. Sky's the limit.
This new wintergreen essential oil is exciting for a lot of different reasons, one of which is a new species for dōTERRA, Cafeteria fragrant. The aroma is very different than what we are accustomed to with wintergreen essential oil, while at the same time we maintain all of the wonderful chemistry and benefits. One of the challenges with wintergreen essential oil is to make sure that the oil is not synthetic. While dōTERRA does a tremendous amount of testing that has become more and more sophisticated, we also have the advantage of working directly directly with the source. We're intimately involved from the very beginning all the way through the end process when we provide this beautiful essential. Wintergreen is one of the lowest yield oils that there is, and that was a surprise to me actually. Because we fill those stills up, you stomp and you mash that thing as tight as you can get it, and then we finally build the mound 4 feet higher at the top of the still, put the lid on, and we pack it in there. And then it goes for 14 hours. It's an amazing process and a heck of a lot of work. It's such a small amount of work.
It's been about a year we started working in these villages. Most of their livelihood depends on cultivating these smaller terraces. But we found out a local resource called Wintergreen, and we are so happy that dōTERRA has come to partner with us in purchasing what they can produce. And that gives them extra resources to sustain their family in these villages.
In our desire to find the highest quality essential oils in the world, we turned to Nepal for their wintergreen sourcing. We worked with 2 specific districts, the dōTERRA district as well as the Wintergreen district. Imagine how our hearts broke as we learned the news of the earthquakes, knowing that these 2 areas were the heart of the earthquake and received the most damage.
You know, we were already working in Nepal. We've been working on this co-impact sourcing relationship for the Wintergreen for some time. We already had significant contacts on the ground, specifically with Vishnu, so valuable, and just his ability to get things done in Nepal that frankly others, even the government, sometimes struggle with. And then of course when the earthquake happened, we immediately decided we were going to send $100,000 out there for the immediate needs, which were tents and blankets and food as they were just going into their monsoon season. But then we got this thought almost as fast. Our wellness advocates are really generous, and they're thinking, why don't we put it out to them and we'll put it on an offer to match, any donations that come that way. And so that's what we did. And in the end, I think we came up with somewhere around $700,000 that we were able to help provide this relief.
We imagine what it meant to these people who lost their homes, whose lives were completely devastated, to receive temporary shelter, to receive food, to receive those things to be able to help sustain them through this most difficult time. To actually be there and physically see that devastation, to see homes destroyed, to see family and children living under tents just trying to stay dry. It really changed my perspective. And as we were able to meet some of the people that we provided the temporary housing for, how was one that just amazed me. Think of myself in that situation and how I would have responded. I think I would have been devastated. Yet she was so resilient. She was so happy and so grateful. She just kept giving us thanks for the home that she had, even though it was a small home. She was so grateful.
And to see the little shack, very small with the goats where she had been sleeping, and as a way to stay out of the rains and so forth. Those are things you just don't forget. I think she was very representative of many of the people we've met.
They're such a gracious people, and they truly are resilient. They truly are strong, and they will carry on. They need help. And I'm so grateful that we are in a position to be able to provide some small means of help.
भएको पनि गर्थ्यो नदेख्ने भगवानले अहिले चाहिँ भगवान चाहिँ मेरै आँखा वरिपरि हजुरहरू चाहिँ मेरो भगवान रहेछ उहाँहरू भगवान उहाँ रहेछ भन्ने अनुभव चाहिँ भयो
That could basically be it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was. Can we stop it there? I think that was. Oh, that is it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we have Kleenex back here. We can pass it around. Funny story. We decided that we were gonna like hold off on posting our personal pictures because we really wanted to share with you guys first before we post it on social media. But I did post one picture, just one little picture with a little girl, and Emily Wright commented on it, and she said, "Now you know why I cry every time I talk about the Nepali people." It was a really meaningful experience. And I remember when they first started telling us a little bit about co-impact sourcing. And I didn't even know that they would, I hoped that they would have trips someday for us, but I had no idea, you know, that they would unveil that. And so when we heard about this, Nepal was the first #1 place on my list that I wanted to visit. So I'm just so excited that it worked out and that we got to go together. So anyway, we just have slides, some stuff that we're going to go a little heavier into just to share with you about because they're really dear and close to our hearts, and others are just pictures. So we're just going to book on through here. This is our arrival day. We landed in Kathmandu and we spent the night near the airport, and we had a really huge bus ride, and everybody
Took us 40 hours to get there.
to fly there. Yeah.
So yeah, it took us 40 hours. We got there really late. We were the last people to arrive with the group.
Like 1 a.m.
So
It's like the Amazing
the three
Race.
of us. Yeah. Your mother, you know, this goes like up until you leave for your trip is like the Amazing Race.
Yeah.
And then you get there where everyone had to pick a down day, but we didn't. So that was fun. And then we kind of got the experience of the squatty potty in China a little bit. We sort of saw them, but we had the option there. But
We didn't realize how deluxe that option was.
Yeah, so that was our layover in China. We saw it from a distance, and we were like,
Ooh, I don't know how to touch that. And it was totally clean, actually.
Yeah, that was the deluxe option. So we got there at 1 a.m. and it's really nice because if you ever experience a trip with dōTERRA, hi to my sister, I didn't see her tonight. They wait for you right at the gate. Julie and I have been to Dominican Republic with dōTERRA too, and we're sort of like, what's this going to be like when we land? They have somebody there no matter what time you land, with a big sign, with a big smile. So it's really safe. We also traveled to see the paramedic and security, which Sarah kindly sends so that all of their wellness advocates are very well taken care of. And yeah, we got there 40 hours later. We got in at 1 a.m. and we were up at 6 a.m. every day between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m.
Actually,
yeah.
The first day though, I accidentally woke them up after only 2 hours of sleep because
that was amazing.
my phone was airplane mode, so I was still in China time, and I was like, "Hurry up, you guys, we're gonna be late."
She's like, well, she came out of the bathroom. She's like, why are you guys still in bed?
Yeah. And then I couldn't go back to sleep.
She had her
It was awful.
contacts in.
I know.
Right, she was ready to go.
And I was like having a nap after 3
After she rolled her eyes. Yeah, so this was our little welcome. They had a big welcome ceremony for us.
I haven't seen a lot of these pictures.
Yeah, she's gonna say it for the first time. Yeah, but it's kind of like in Hawaii where you get a lei. Everybody got kind of a lei of flowers. I don't even know what kind of flowers those are, but they're everywhere. The orange, pretty flowers. Marigolds. Oh, of course.
So you didn't put in the picture of me, but really I look like after the.
Does it come?
I didn't put that in there.
Oh.
Sorry. I did my best, but that one I didn't get.
Real truth. It took 5 hours to get from Kathmandu into the village where we're going, which is where extreme poverty really is, and that's why we are not in Kathmandu. We partner with CHOICE Humanitarian, which you'll hear a lot more, and they go to extreme poverty. So we did drive 5 hours on a very windy road with exactly enough space for you to drive, and if you are.
But it's supposed to be 2 lane.
Total drop off.
Total
Yeah.
drop off, and
Cliffs everywhere.
if you get anybody get motion illness? Yeah. I mean, I don't always, but if you would, yeah, it was bad. So I was in the back of the bus, and
Which was a mistake.
it was a mistake.
Yeah.
I was like, sometimes I'll be fine, and then like an hour later, what did I do? So they gave me Dramamine and Zofran under my tongue. A few people had IVs. It was bad. There was a lot of
People were barfing everywhere. They were going down like
to get
flies.
us there.
It was-
I
yeah.
held on tight, like I just went straight ahead and got to the front of the bus. But when I really got there, what I really looked like was I was like,
Asleep.
Yeah. So
I should
half
put
of
that
us
in
were like, we felt very stoned after we drove for 5 hours with all these drugs in us. But it was kind of interesting at the beginning. They said to us, you know, we all know that you love essential oils, to our whole group, and they said, that's great that you love essential oils, but you're here for 1 week. So take the drugs if you need the drugs. We've seen a lot of people like lose the whole week because they're like, no, I'm not going to take what I really need to get through this to enjoy the trip. So yeah, I took the drugs, and I'm glad I did, but I made it. But that's not really what I
Okay, but she does look beautiful there, right?
But
And we were prepped ahead of time. They told us, just be prepared. We know you're tired, but this is very important for their culture. This is going to be like a 2-hour ceremony, and you need to be as awake as you can.
with Dramamine and Zofran.
So we were like trying so hard, and they had their kids out, their teenage kids out there performing, dancing,
It was really
and
cute.
it was really cute. But yeah, it was a struggle. It was a struggle. These are just some pictures of the village. It's so beautiful. The terrain is just gorgeous. I mean, after driving those 5+ hours probably in the windy, drop-offs, all of a sudden we get to this valley and this village.
This was the biggest and nicest house I saw in the whole country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like a mansion compared to the little shacks with
What
like
it is,
tin.
Potatoes. So they're
Mostly
they're
potatoes,
growing
yeah.
potatoes.
Yeah.
So yeah, is that like one person's house, like the richest person in Nepal?
This is not a normal. This is not a normal house. I'm not even sure what you guys.
It might not even be a house. It might be
Yeah.
like
Not sure.
co-op
We
living.
just had to walk through the village every day to get to the different places we were going, so we just took pictures of
We
things
passed
we
this
saw.
one a lot. The potato crop is very popularly grown in this village that we visited, but they only get paid at the end of the growing season, so once a year. And the reason why our harvesters of wintergreen love it so much is they get paid every single day. Every single time those women come down the hill with their big bags, they are paid on the
They
spot.
weigh it, and then they literally get a big wad of cash.
So they
And
love doTERRA.
And you'll see later, like the kids were out of school and they were there doing it too because they were so excited.
I've got a slide for that.
Cool.
Yeah, so you can see that they do terrace agriculture because it's so everything is so
whole
steep
country. Yeah.
everywhere. It's really interesting. Yeah, and this is just more potato.
This is what it
Looks like
normally looks like.
Yeah.
The most
like down the little
yeah.
streets, I guess you could call.
There aren't
Done.
garbages anywhere, so there's
No.
garbage everywhere.
Totally.
Does it smell then?
No, not really.
The air quality is actually really poor there.
Yeah.
Anybody that gets triggered by asthma, like myself, you instantly feel the air quality is very low.
Yeah.
Especially in Kathmandu.
Yeah,
Could it be the elevation as well?
It's equal to about where we are here.
Yeah, they all cook with fire,
With fires,
so there's smoke
smoke
everywhere.
everywhere.
They probably burn the garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do. They burn that
Yeah,
garbage.
it's like third world
Yeah.
country air. Like, you just,
Yeah, it's not developed. So
Yeah.
So lots of animals everywhere. This is where we stayed. Basically we were in these little school buildings, these classrooms. They were like cinder block classrooms, and they rolled out this really nice tarp for us. And believe it or not, it was actually where we stayed here was way more comfortable than the hotels. Don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
They give us 2 mats, like 2 thick
Pads, yeah.
mat.
and then we
Yeah.
brought our own sleeping bags, so we
Slept on the floor.
Yeah, and like the kids actually vacated school for us for that whole
So we
5
could
days
be
that
there.
we were there.
Yeah.
And so it's Kelly.
Sorry, I took a picture of that. I was like,
Kelly and Amy and I lucked out in a room together with just 2 other people, 2 girls from Jersey who were so fun. So we had a good
total
time.
Jersey girls.
Yeah.
Love them. Yeah. So yeah, that's where we slept.
Sorry,
Sorry, Kelly.
That's one of my favorite pictures of you.
I know, right? I love that look.
I was writing my journal.
And you'll see the 2 petite blue sitting right beside her.
Yes. So these are the squatty potties, and that's not water.
Some of it is.
This is a better picture than the one I have.
Oh. Okay, so that's where you go.
You dump water in?
Yeah, if you need to flush it. then-
But you
well,
know what?
should-
They kept them super clean. They had
They
a person assigned to keep them clean, and they weren't bad at all. And
Yeah.
when in these countries, we saw places where you would never want to sit on that toilet seat. So squatting's an amazing option.
Yeah, there was one squatty potty in a temple that we didn't go in because we people were gagging.
Oh yeah.
Just from outside
Yeah.
the door of the restroom, we were gagging. So we're like, let's just hold it.
Yeah. These weren't too bad.
These were actually really good. Yeah. And every day there was yoga class in the morning. I was going to say I'm sure you guys would agree that there's just a feeling of peacefulness around their country. I mean, everywhere you go, everyone, namaste, namaste.
Everywhere.
You know, and so I think there's something about that I was like, can I just keep that when I go home?
Yeah.
Like, I really, really appreciated that spirit that they brought.
You notice this is a picture of the yoga that happened every morning, not us in yoga. Practice till like 6 a.m. yoga was at 5 a.m. So
Yeah, we skipped yoga.
And it was a very different kind of yoga,
It was
actually. He
Nepal
did a lot of
yoga. So
dancing and stuff that went with it.
Yeah. So yeah, this is like the garbage. Like it's just the side of the they don't recycle, but yeah, it's just they just throw it there and next to their buildings. And this is actually a picture outside the looking out from where the cafeteria is. The school that we stayed in, actually, the government of Nepal started building it 5 years ago, and it's still like not complete. Like open, it's like brick sort of walls, but even like on the second story, there weren't walls there. And I actually have a story where we were like taking care of our food after we were done eating, and somebody was trying to get by, so I kind of backed up, and I backed up into one single thing of rebar that was protecting me from falling 2 stories.
you would have died.
Yeah. They just have like tarp basically like as the wall with rebar, with like one single thing of rebar. So it's really interesting, but there are a lot of things that have happened because of the earthquake devastation, and they were already a developing country. So this is so these are kind of the classrooms where we were staying, and this right here, this is the cafeteria, 2nd floor. That's where I almost fell. This is where we ate, and this is like the inside of it. So,
but you should know here that we had clean food, which was really
very
water.
Yeah,
It's all from dōTERRA. That they have people come in and cook our food for us, like you can see here. That looks great, Amy. But this is like not unheard of, but you know, so many people go to these countries and they get sick because they just don't know what food and water is. But they made sure that we had bottles of water everywhere anytime we wanted it, and then our food was always very clean and
very clean.
Yeah, it was delicious. And the cooks are actually hired by Choice Humanitarian, and so they take that job so seriously. You can see them
very seriously, and
they're super nice too.
Even the people that are from Nepal can't drink their water, right? Because it makes them so sick.
They shouldn't.
But they do.
Some people have like dysentery symptoms and think that that's normal. They just live with it. Like we saw, how many people did we see brushing their teeth in the filthy water? Just walking
that they just went to the bathroom in.
Yeah. So.
Oh yeah, that little girl. She was brushing her teeth. I mean, she was all.
Your hike.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's right. Oh, okay. So this is a video, and sorry, you guys online. I'm not super techie, and I don't know what. I guess the sound is internal on this little projector, and it's like a toy projector, so it's really different. Let me just try one thing, okay, you guys? Sorry.
I'll tell you first while she's figuring that out. So going there, I always knew that dōTERRA worked really closely with Choice Humanitarian, but I didn't really know like what the relationship was or how they were different. So that's something that we really got to learn. So basically, dōTERRA goes in with the Healing Hands Foundation, which all of you contribute to. You know, when you check out, you've got the option to donate to Healing Hands. So that money then will go to these different projects. And a lot of it, they work closely with Choice Humanitarian because they go to these third world countries, and their mission is to alleviate extreme poverty. And they know what to do. They've been functioning for over 30 years. And so they can go in and they know what to do with this money and make the best use of the money. And they have people on the ground to facilitate that. So it's actually a great partnership. And Choice said that they would not function without the Healing Hands Foundation. And even people in Nepal said Nepal wouldn't function without the Healing Hands. So it's pretty amazing to see that relationship. working together. This guy is super cool.
That's awesome.
His name's Jared Moon, and he works on the ground for dōTERRA in Indonesia, Nepal, New Zealand, Australia. Where else? There was another country. And he's basically in charge of like making sure that the oils are pure, that they're not, tainting the system, that the equipment's running properly. And he knows so many amazing things in his brain. So I wish I knew.
Like, one day we were walking by and he was just chuckling to himself under his breath by his door. We're like, what are you laughing about? He's like, oh, I just got an email from somebody that wants dōTERRA to buy their oil. And he was just like, we would never want that oil. And it was just so interesting to watch him all week, like get emails.
But he was so receptive to, like, Amy mentioned somebody that she knew who had a experiment, right?
Yeah.
And he was very much like, yes, have them send a
me.
sample and we'll definitely check it out. And
he just knows that world like so well. It was just crazy.
Okay, let me just see if this works. So, not sure if I connected to the
I'm
Bluetooth.
Jared Moon. I'm the strategic sourcing manager.
Okay, hold on 1 second. Okay, why? So normally I can see my Michelle. You could help me, right? You're like techie, right? Normally, okay. Sorry, guys. Let me just see. It's on. Yeah, it's. I don't know if that's not the device though. Hold on a second.
It might be connected to your phone or.
It's not connected to anything right now, but let me just see.
Is that on to search? You might have to turn your speaker on to search.
Marie's so good at this stuff.
It's usually paired. Like it usually just pairs.
Is
Maybe I'm
Bluetooth
close.
disconnected,
Maybe I'm
Amy?
off of. Come on, Siri. Just do it for me.
Every time they would have sort of one of these ceremonies for us, they would put it over their speaker system, and they were trying to be so serious about it, but then every few seconds you'd hear Bluetooth connected.
Oh, right.
Bluetooth.
Right. Oh my gosh. Actually, you know what? I'll just do it in my internal speakers. Sorry, you guys. I don't know why it's not working because it's not coming up, but it normally does. It normally connects with my computer. But I think if I just blast these speakers, it might work. Hold on.
Nepal, India, Western Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. I'm responsible for all the oils that come from those regions.
Sorry.
My name is Jared Moon. I'm the strategic sourcing manager for Nepal, India, Western Europe, Australia, and New Zealand. I'm responsible for all the oils that come from those regions and countries. Here in Nepal, I work with our partners on Wintergreen, Spikenard, and a few other small oils. Actually 8 other oils. So it's a lot of work here in Nepal. It's a lot of work around the world, and I love my job. I get to travel and work with people who are amazing, who care about what they do, whether it's producing oils, whether it's harvesting the plants, whether it's just being involved in the filtration process. It's an amazing job and an amazing experience to learn what goes into the oils themselves and how they're produced. I also get to work on trying to help people improve their processes, make sure they're doing things in accordance to our standards, and it's the coolest thing ever. I have a huge desire to make the world just part of the dōTERRA family, I guess. It's amazing what they can do and what they can bring to us, and so we have a lot of opportunities to learn from them, and bringing them and introducing them to wellness advocates and other employees is a great honor for me. And it's something special to see someone smile when they smell a drop of whatever they produce in the end, because they don't use the oils typically, and so it's fun to share that with them. I also get to work with the co-impact sourcing and helping improve the lives of communities where we work, while they improve our lives with the oils that they produce, and the Healing Hands projects that we have going on around the world. Here in Nepal, we have a lot of projects going on with schools and hospitals and training through the Healing Hands Foundation, and it's an honor to be a very small part of that.
Thank you so
Do you have any
much.
questions? Like you can do Q&A.
How many distilleries would you say that dōTERRA has in Nepal approximately?
We work with about, I would say, at least 250 distilleries here in Nepal. They're very small. They're local community distilleries. Usually they work with harvesters from a 5 kilometer radius maximum. So we have literally Wintergreen Distilleries. This is about as east as we go, and Makwampur all the way to almost Bhutan, all the way east. So we work with suppliers and partners literally for hundreds of miles and days journey away. Spikenard producers, the harvesting is done in the west of the country, and there are a number of harvesters. It takes about 3 days journey to hike up to where they harvest spikenard, and then they bring down the roots, they dry them in their communities, and then they're brought down to be distilled. So there's a lot of literally physical effort that goes into the oils here in Nepal. It's very different from, say, a tea tree, which is a mechanical process in Australia. And there's a lot of variation in what someone can do and is able to do here physically. So they're limited by how much they can carry. And usually it's up to, a man and a woman can maybe get 50 or 80 kilos max here, and then they hike for, again, 3 days journey down from spikenard areas. So there's a lot of work and love that goes into the oils that we sell and produce, and it's just an honor to be a small part of that.
Do you have any idea of how many families in Nepal benefit from their sourcing, their work?
Yeah, I would say at least 3,000 families, roughly. So usually you have about 10 women on each that work with the producers or the still in their community. And then you take into account the spikenard harvesters and their families. And then the other oils, their carrot seed, for example, German chamomile, Himalayan fir, all of those. So those are multiple families. They're much smaller volumes, but other families are involved.
Cool. Any questions? I think that's great.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else?
No, I love my job. I have the greatest job in the world. I sound so monotone when I'm like talking. It's like blah, blah, blah. But actually, I love it. It's so cool to be here. It's cool to experience a different side of dōTERRA that anyone else gets to. There's only a few of us that do this, and it's an honor to be one of the few.
Yeah, it's an honor to see a glimpse of it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah. I finally got around to asking her about his students. So all the other girls are like, have you asked him yet? Have you asked him yet? Everybody wanted to know why he didn't have a few French teeth. I think there was 2 missing. Yeah. Anyways, finally I asked him. He just said he had an infection. He had to get his teeth removed. Tried implants several times. His body kept rejecting it. So he's just rocking no teeth at the moment. But he has a flipper if he needs to get that.
But he wasn't fancy for us in Nepal.
So who knows about compact sourcing with dōTERRA? Who knows? Someone explain what. Does anyone know if they want to explain what it is? No, let's do that. We want to make this very simple. So for those of you that are sharing dōTERRA with people or just as a user, I want you to understand that this is the difference between dōTERRA and any other essential oil company in the world. So when people say to you, like, what's the difference between dōTERRA and fill in the blank? This is it. So you can answer with the difference is that they do coat and pack sourcing. And I thought I understood it, like some of you, like, yeah, I've heard of it, I know it, I think I know it. But when you actually go to an area and watch the entire full circle happen, then you understand it, right, a lot better. So I want to just explain it to you the way I understand it. And this is a little slide that you can look back on. And I'm going to read a few things first so that I get a perfectly. So this is the model that makes doTERRA unique. It is a way for doTERRA to source the highest essential oils in the world while creating jobs in developing countries. It helps ensure a long-term supply of certified pure therapeutic grade essential oils. So doTERRA is always looking to how they're going to have these essential oils readily available for us to purchase in 5 years, 10 years, and 20 years, and this is the way that they do it. It helps strengthen economies in developing countries and improves the livelihood of the growers around the world. Then they provide a fair price to the farmers in exchange for their highest quality plant matter. So the way it's explained to us is that co-impact sourcing benefits everybody, while Healing Hands Foundation just benefits wherever they're going to help the community, right? But co-impact sourcing, it benefits everybody. It benefits the farmers, the growers, the families, us, because we get the highest grade essential oil, because we get the best plant matter, because we pay the fair prices on time. Does that make sense? Yeah. Just raise your hand if it's not making sense. So the first thing they do is they search the globe for the best plant matter that they can find, and sometimes that's in developing countries like Nepal, Somalia, where else? Haiti, Kenya, so many different developing countries, right? Then they have somebody on the ground, like you saw Vishnu, he was in a video that we were showing. They find somebody on the ground that they can trust to work with the people on the ground. And that's when doTERRA comes in and says, you know, you have the best plant matter in the world, we want to make the best essential oils in the world. They come together and make agreement on that. That's called co-impact sourcing. And then through this, they create, like you see, the jobs and then the income where it is much needed. These cooperatives also ensure growers that they receive fair and on-time payments. So doTERRA had seen in the past, and we've heard that, for instance, some of these developing countries, they would pull their crop before it was ready to be pulled because they wanted to get paid. And they didn't really, they weren't paid on time by other people. But with doTERRA, they get paid on time and frequently enough that they don't need to pull the crop until it's at its peak, peak stage for us to distill it then. Does that make sense? Am I saying that right?
And sometimes they actually get paid in advance.
Yeah.
It's sort of an incentive to keep that crop till it's mature.
So the Healing Hands Foundation is very separate from co-impact sourcing, but they always do Healing Hands in an area where co-impact sourcing is happening. So if they buy wintergreen from Nepal, they always make sure that they also do Healing Hands in that area. And this is so that the community can really get to know doTERRA and that they will trust us. So part of the reason we go there and why doTERRA even offers this to people is so that they can see our faces and that they can understand that they can trust us and we can trust them. And so when we were there, you'll see in a minute, we also work with Healing Hands to go and help build this hospital. That's been 6 other groups from doTERRA have been there to help build this hospital, which you'll see in just a minute. And it's really neat because at first when you get there to the hospital, you'll see the people in the village kind of watching you and staring at you as you come in, and you know, maybe they're not used to the way that we look, and so they just kind of watching us. But then not very long into it, you'll notice that they're next to you. Right, and even one lady came and pulled my broom away from me because she's like, "You're not sweeping right." We don't understand each other, but their brooms are very different from ours, and I was kind of conventionally sweeping. She's just looking at me like, "You are so wrong." But then they're in there as well, helping us because they know that this is for them, and they want to make it as beautiful as they can as well. So it was really neat to work alongside some of those people as well. So that really is the difference with co-impact sourcing. You can go to the next slide now. And if you don't know, this is where doTERRA sources their essential oils. Not every essential oil is a co-impact sourcing country, right? But many of them, over 40 are now, co-impact sourcing countries, right? So this is where they source all of their plant matter. You can go to the next one. And this is the hike I didn't do. So anyway. Okay, right. So this is hiking up to, you can leave it here for a second. This is hiking up to the distillery or the still.
It was a hike. I just have to say, it was horrible. They said it was going to just be a few minutes up the hill.
Yeah, they lied to us the whole time.
We went kilometers.
They'd be like, it's just a little climb. It's like a little
5 minutes, and it's like an hour.
Yeah. But Julie had 80 pounds of camera equipment, and I was like, I'll take that in the car.
Yeah.
And so
I never would have made it up.
Yeah. But what's really neat about my experience while they were hiking is that I got to the distillery before anyone else, just a few others. And it was very quiet, right? Like they were just doing their thing there. And so I had a unique experience for about 15 minutes to just be there by myself with a few other people from dōTERRA corporate. And it was kind of nice before the rest of the people arrived. There were about 40 of us all together. So this is the little house where, correct?
The one on the left is for the goats, and then the other one is for them.
So this is where the family lives that takes care of the distillery. Now, I mean, I just have to be honest. I thought I was going to come to this distillery and it was going to be like dōTERRA, and it was going to be like
a building.
Yeah, I thought, well, dōTERRA's probably got a building. Somehow they were managed to have a pristine distillery here. But it was very different from what I imagined. I guess because I've seen Bolivia's distillery where they own that distillery there, but here they do co-pack sourcing, so they don't own this distillery. They partner with them to get their essential oil, right? So this is just one, like Jared said, of 300 throughout this country, right? So we can go to the next slide now. This is it. This is it. It's just one distillery, and here, this is my slide, I think, because nobody is here yet. You'll see in a minute. And these are just people from the village and the community. And the Wintergreen is in there, and it's about to come out. Go to the next slide. So they're just heating it here. It was just pretty quiet. It was really nothing much was going on. Go to the next slide. This is it. So it was just kind of neat while we were there. We got to actually see the entire process from the women walking down with 125 pounds of wintergreen leaves on their back. If you want to see one of the wintergreen leaves, I'll pass. This is just a dried wintergreen leaf from Nepal that I picked up while we were walking back. So they are little women, like how much do they weigh? 100 pounds? Maybe. And they have 125 pounds of plant matter on their back, and they hold it with a basket on their forehead. And so, like, you can't really describe what that looks like unless you're there, because you're just amazed. Like, you can't believe you're watching this happen. Not even just women, but children as well. Like I said, they were out of school this week. It was a holiday for them, so there were children carrying. I'd like to see my kids do this, by the way. It's just their life is so different from ours, right? So they were so excited because they get paid right away, and then they can go buy whatever, or I'm not even sure they would go buy something for themselves. But as we talk to the women there, they love this cooperative between everybody because it ensures that their kids go to school. And that is like the number one goal for a Nepali family, is that their children are educated, because many of their family members were not. So getting this money is the difference between educated kids or not, right?
Absolutely, and education, I realized more than ever, is the difference for them getting out of extreme poverty.
Yeah. What's neat about Nepal wintergreen, as we pass it around, is this color. It's this peach color here, and Chinese wintergreen is clear, like that we haven't deeply rubbed. So this is a very earthy wintergreen where you're not really, the smell is probably a little bit different than what you would expect. But it, when looking at the chemical constituents of both wintergreen from Nepal and China, it's been said that even Nepal wintergreen has even more healing properties in it than Chinese wintergreen. So if you don't, love the smell as much as maybe deeply rub or whatnot, but use it, because I love Nepal wintergreen. But it did take a little time. Who was around when we had wintergreen before Nepal wintergreen? Yeah. If you got some of the old wintergreen, what was that, like circa 2011? Yeah. So this is the beautiful Nepal wintergreen. Go to the next slide. Yeah.
And I just have to say, I always wondered why the wintergreen label, the new one, was pink.
Yeah. It is pink. Yeah. Okay, so these are just a few pictures. Now the group is here. Welcome. Two women walking. You can see that this is taller than she is.
And they do it in
the same
flip-flops.
Yeah.
And they just run down the mountain.
It's about
She's
5
crazy.
kilometers. They carry this. I can go to the next one.
Yeah.
They're going down the hill, though, right? Yeah. Here they are. Yeah.
Sometimes they're going up,
They're
sometimes
going
they're
up
going
too.
down.
This is just one of the family members that helps take care of the still. This is the only thing that they do, I'm guessing, right? This is how they provide for
Kelly,
themselves. Yeah.
Question. Do you know how much they actually get from one distillery over a course of a year or a day or?
I don't know that it's a like I said, a like low yielding oil, and they don't buy it right there on the spot. So later I was asking him, like, so are you actually taking that now with you? And he's like, no, later we go and we buy Wintergreen from so many different families. I don't know how much they buy from them.
But they paid the woman on the spot.
They paid the woman on the spot.
It was $5 for that 125 pound bag.
Yeah.
$5.
Yeah.
He
But
said
$5
to her is
it's huge.
Oh, yeah. Huge.
Yeah. I mean, you just want to unload everything you brought with you to these people, because that's how you feel. Your heart is broken. But then you're reminded by others, like people like Jared will tell you, don't feel so, like you really feel it, like in every cell in your body, like what can I do here to help? Like, but you can't, because they don't know any different. And so they're not as sad as we feel.
Yeah, they're actually very happy.
They're very happy. And then like we've talked and stuff, they don't have a lot of the stresses that we have either. They don't have to go to a grocery store. They don't have to, there's a lot of, like, you know, they don't have to take their kids to hockey. There's like a million things they don't have either. So it's just the way that we see it through our eyes, because they're very happy, because everything is so minimal to them, right? Like we'll talk a minute about the families that we visited, but the one I did in particular for lunch, she went and pulled out a potato and a green onion and then just stirred it up with olive oil and spices. So that was lunch. She didn't go to a grocery store and she didn't get a recipe and print a recipe. Like that doesn't happen. It's very simple. So they are very happy, but they do need our help. Okay, go to the next slide. So what was interesting is that they have never smelled their own wintergreen, as far as like from a dōTERRA bottle. So they were very excited to smell all of the oils that we had with us. Like we had ginger and we had a few different oils, and they were really mesmerized by it. Like you'll see them just smelling it over and over and over again for several minutes to just smell it until it's gone, because they just loved it so much.
She actually got, I don't know if you can see here, but she got really emotional.
I have a video of it, and it was just the neatest. Maybe I'll post it on online so you guys can see it. But what was super cool is that when she came down with her big load, guess how old she is? Just throw out a guess.
80.
63. 50. She's 57.
Wow.
56. Yeah. And when she came down, everyone wanted a picture with her, and she was so embarrassed. You know, she didn't know. They won't look right. You know, they don't know where to look. She's super embarrassed. Then she sat down, and as soon as somebody shared oils with her, everything changed. Like she just got teary. She shared it with all the kids around her, and she sat there for probably 15 minutes just smelling it with like tears. It was the neatest thing to see. It like broke down all the barriers.
Yeah, it really did. The oils did that a few times.
And what else is really neat to know is that dōTERRA does have a plan. You know, they want to get oils in every house, and they have a plan to do that. These people can't afford to buy oils, but they've come up with another way. And so I'm not sure what that is yet, but they are working on it. And it's
they told us that they were going to start by putting a set in the hospital that we built, so that when they go to the hospital, they can have access to dōTERRA oils.
Yeah.
So they said we're making sure everybody gets dōTERRA, whether they can afford it or not in these countries.
Yeah.
So they were not aware that of the powers of the Wintergreen that they go.
No, they don't really understand it. Yeah, they don't, and there's.
So they don't use it.
No,
they can't. They can't afford it.
Like we all wanted to touch their wintergreen and like put it on our knees or whatever, and they were like, "What are you doing?" They don't really. They don't really understand, because they don't have somebody right there. I mean, they know it's precious, and we pay them above what they get paid anywhere else, but they don't know what we do with their wintergreen.
I think that'll come.
I think it will too.
Often these cultures don't have an understanding.
Yeah. They do on some. Yeah, like they do. You noticed in the pharmacy they had clove oil.
Yeah, so I had when we went to the hospital, I'll share what my experience with watching their medicine.
Oh, I put this one in here because this little girl, so cute. So she brought her load. She did her own load. And the guy that was about to pay her was going to pay her less. And she goes, no, you're not allowed to. You have to pay me the same amount as the women, you know, her, you know.
Yeah, she said, you pay me the same amount that you pay my mom.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So anyway, she was so cute. I just loved her.
And she had a little knife just attached to the side of her the whole time.
Yeah. So she did her picture. Oh my gosh.
Not everybody could get that on.
It's so heavy.
So heavy. That's the 125-pound bag, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
on the treadmills or whatever.
Marie and I did that. Oh, yeah.
So this is an interesting little story here. So when we were standing there, one of the men from Choice Humanitarian kind of filled us in on a backstory. So this woman right here on the left, she's one of the harvesters, and one day this guy Pratik noticed that she kind of had something strapped like to her belly, and he's like, what's going on? And he got to know her. She was actually kind of emotional too. He's like, what's going on? She's like, well, my husband beats me. And he said, well, does he drink? Is he have, because a lot of them are alcoholics. And he's like, what's going on? She said, well, he's stressed about money. We don't have a home. And he found out what was strapped to her was a baby. So not only is she carrying that huge bag of wintergreen, but she's got a baby strapped to her. So he stepped in with Choice Humanitarian, and they raised money to build them a home. So they built them a home. And he's just like all over the place, right, doing his work. He came back a year later, saw her a year later, and she had another baby already. So he put 2 and 2 together. The whole time that she was carrying a baby, she was actually pregnant. So this little pouch wasn't just the baby. It was like her belly plus the baby plus the 125-pound bag or whatever of wintergreen. But when he saw her a year later, she was so happy. She said, my husband's happy. He doesn't beat me. He's so good to me. He's, so this is him. This is the dad. That's the baby right there that she was carrying on the right when they saw her. Anyway, it was really, and she was showing that, like, they could tell that we were talking about this story because we were kind of pointing, even though we don't speak the same language. And he was just beaming. He was so, to hear him tell us that story, it was really, and she was so proud. She was just showing her baby, just like, and the baby was sleeping. I was like, oh, don't wake your baby for us. But she's like, look, it was a really special moment.
And then after a while, a lot of people started saying, well, what do the men do?
Yeah.
Because the women are really busy. Apparently they do other stuff.
Potatoes.
They're growing potatoes.
They do work. And
welders.
Blacksmiths.
Blacksmiths. They do other stuff.
Yeah.
So when the women pick up, are they the ones responsible for actually like cutting down the wintergreen?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. They all just keep a knife right on their side and they just slice it off. Yeah.
Yeah. So later that afternoon, we had a big Days for Girls event.
Now, this is what was insane, actually. So we were coming back from the hospital, and they said, okay, we'll have lunch, and then we're going to hopefully do a Days for Girls event. Of course, a lot of things spread by word of mouth there, so they said, we're really crossing our fingers that we get 40 ladies there who want to learn. So we pulled up in the buses, and they said, sorry, lunch is
canceled. No.
There were over 300 women waiting for us when we got there, which was incredible. Do you guys know?
It's not like it's not like there's an Eventbrite though. Right?
Yeah.
It's not like there's a Facebook. Like we knew we have about 35 people tonight, so they were hoping to get 30. We sold out of 300, so we don't know how many.
Well, I think everyone did get a kit. They found another bag, actually, because they were worried for a minute that they were going to run out, but they found another bag of kits. So does anyone in here not know what Days for Girls is? I expect probably everyone doesn't. Yeah. So it is a really wonderful organization that was started, maybe it was 2002, but maybe I'm wrong about that. Might have been more recent. So 2007, I don't know. Anyways, it's a recent thing. And so Amy will show sort of what the kit is. But what it is, basically, they go into third world countries, and people are given ways and tools to deal with their menstruation, where before they've never had anything. They've used cow patties, which is really common, leaves,
layers of clothes.
That was really common in Nepal, actually. The lady teaching it first asked everyone, raise your hand if you use 6 or 7 layers of clothing, when you're menstruating. And yeah, that's what we do. So it's just horrible. And in Nepal, they have a special name for it. I wrote it down here. It's called, I won't even be able to pronounce it, but it's called like chapati, and that's sort of what they do to deal with their time of the month. And so they go to cattle sheds or huts, and they have to walk a long way to get there. And so then they sit there until they're done, and it's very dangerous. There's snakes, there's, some of the women have been raped going there and back. Some of them will get cut, even just like a mosquito bite gets infected, and it takes their life. And so this is the most amazing kit. Number one, nobody there has underwear. So there's underwear in this kit.
Yeah, so you get a couple pair of underwear, right? And then you get, so this snaps around the underwear. And then you have these little pads inside. And the pad is, it has a barrier inside, so it's a waterproof barrier. They fold in thirds, and the thickness is in the middle. So that right here, the first design, actually, okay, I have to back up. I just met with this woman in Calgary who just happens to be the global leader in design for Days for Girls. She lives here in Calgary. Mm-hmm. And she's in charge of all the design all around the world and quality control. So she travels everywhere and teaches how to do this. So she's saying that the first pattern that they did was like just like thick all the way through. But then the girls were complaining. They're like, what did they say?
They said we look like boys.
Yeah, we look like boys because it's like kind of like thick in the front. So they redesigned it so it's really thin right here, just enough to like tuck it in right here. And the way they do it is you can actually just use this if it's like a light day. You can put this in if it's a little bit more. Anyway, you can do it up to like 3 layers.
Yeah.
Thick, like if it's a heavy day.
Inserts.
And then the other thing that you have is soap. And actually this is a really big deal because the men, this is something else that we understood is that the men don't want to spend, like they don't want to put that in their budget. Like even soap is expensive to them for their life. So this is in their kit too. They also get a washcloth to wash up.
Yeah, so the initial design also, they did it white, like nobody was thinking, right? Like our pads are white. And then of course the women were too embarrassed to put them out to dry because the blood would not fully come out of it. So they use these really nice patterns where they're not embarrassed to put them out.
Super cute.
Yeah. And so this makes all the difference in the lives of 50% of the population, right? They can stay in school. So many girls would drop out of school because they would just get so behind because 1 week out of a month they were heading to a hut or a barn. There's a really neat statistic here. So where is it here? It was truly amazing. I wonder if I didn't transfer it. It was in, anyways, one of the schools, they had about a 25% dropout rate for girls once they started menstruating. And then after a year of having these kits in that school, the dropout rate went down to 3%. So that's absolutely huge.
It's amazing.
And so we broke the group into 100 ladies each and then did the education. There's this is the, just gonna step in front here. So they have somebody in each country who's in charge of the education, and the lady who did it with us was amazing. But they go through this entire chart first. They give them like an hour of education of like, this is your body, this is a penis, this is, you know, like honestly going through, this is when you ovulate, this is how you menstruate. So partway through, the women stopped and asked, they pointed at all of us and they said, do they have uteruses too? Like they literally didn't know. They don't know anything about their bodies, how they function. So just this little bit of education, and you could just see the relief come off of these women, and they were giggling together and chatting, and it was just like such a relief for them to talk about it.
And we like modeled the underwear, and we showed like you can run in them and you can like dance.
So they loved it. And so when the class was all, they were showing them the size of their uterus. And every single person that comes gets a kit, even if it's somebody, you know, who's finished menstruating or it's somebody who's 5 years old, because now they have the education and they can pass the kit on to somebody who can use it. For me, this was one of my most favorite parts, I think, of the whole trip. And leaving when we gave them their kits, like especially I noticed the older ladies were just like bawling, just saying thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I think the relief they felt that now their younger generation isn't going to have to go through what they went through was just huge for them. It truly changes their lives. So if you ever want to sort of participate in something like this, the second Saturday of every month down at this lady's sewing shop, there's cards over there if you want to take them. You can participate and just show up and help sew the kits. And they get shipped all over the world.
And we'll probably organize one where we're going as a team, but you don't have to go with us. But yeah, the owner's name is Anne, and it's called My Sewing Room. You guys just off the McLeod. You guys have probably been there if you're into fabric. Yeah, but that's what the kits look like. And
yeah, there over 1 million girls now have received these kits. 110 countries, I think. Yeah, 110 countries, 6 continents. And dōTERRA actually broke the Guinness Book of World Record for making the most kits in an hour. They made over 5,000 kits in about 36 minutes, and then they actually ran out of their supplies.
At convention year before last,
Yeah.
right? Yeah. Oh, okay.
So yeah, they actually beat the record in 36 minutes.
Yeah. So awesome.
So anyways, that was super cool. I love that part of it.
Yeah, and this was the turnout, you guys. Like, people were just lining up. We had to do more than one group because the room that we were to do it in, we were just expecting the whatever 30 or 40.
And they waited hours in like the hot sun, and so we tried to just
painted
nails, did hand massages with oils.
Yeah.
And it was funny because one of the girls was giving one of the ladies a hand massage, and the ladies were sort of chuckling with each other, and somebody was interpreting. I said, "What's so funny?" And she said, she's laughing because your hands are so soft. And she says, "You don't do any work."
There it is.
Yeah, the kids are just gorgeous. Yeah, that's part of their religion with like the makeup and stuff on the kids.
And everybody wants to get their picture taken with you.
Really?
Yeah.
This girl is 24. No, just.
Okay, and this is, well, I'll just let him.
So my name's Jordan, and I work for CHOICE Humanitarian. We're an international development organization that's been around for over 30 years. We work in 7 countries, and in 2 of those countries, Guatemala and Nepal, we work very closely as a co-impact sourcing implementing partner and as a beneficiary organization of Healing Hands Foundation resources. We work in Guatemala because we support the programs around the harvesters and producers for cardamom. And here in Nepal, we work with dōTERRA because we support primarily a lot of the harvesters and the women who collect wintergreen, which is grown here, it's collected here, and it's distilled on site. For over 5 years, we've worked very closely with dōTERRA in a few ways. First, as a recipient of Healing Hands funds, we help dōTERRA have an impact in communities that are producing wintergreen, and that looks different in every community, but over the years, that's looked like some of the first school reconstructions after the 2015 earthquake. That's looked like the health center that we're working on right here in Palung that will serve over 100,000 people. And it also looks like a range of different programs oriented around improving and strengthening the processes around the production of wintergreen, which is a co-impact sourcing oil. Healing Hands Foundation is by far our largest partner here in Nepal, as well as in Guatemala. And for us, that's really powerful, and it manifests in a few ways. First, every year, our team in Nepal, who are all Nepalese staff, they design programs and projects with hundreds and sometimes thousands of families at community and district levels. And we are only able to work with community leaders when we know we have strong partners on the funding side who are able to take the ideas, goals, and priorities of community leaders and match some Healing Hands resources through our work with some resources in those very communities to come together really and create big projects. And a perfect example again is the health center here in Makwanpur. The primary founder or partner for that health center is the dōTERRA Healing Hands Foundation. But what's unique about it is it isn't just money and resources that come down to support that project. It wouldn't be possible without the resources of the Healing Hands Foundation. But over 2 years, less than 2 years, I should say, over 200 wellness advocates, including many of the founders, have actually come down to work on the health center together with community members here in Palung from start to finish. So that means last year, there were individuals from the US, from Canada, from Japan, from China, working on prepping the foundation and building the walls. And this year, we've had the opportunity to jump into the work that dōTERRA Wellness Advocates started a year ago, and jump in, pick up where community members have left off, which is actually a near complete facility.
And so we were able to clean it out, to do the final prep on the tile, to get it ready for painting. And what's exciting is in a few weeks from now, another group of dōTERRA wellness advocates and leaders from Australia and New Zealand are actually going to plug in and be part of the final painting and inauguration. So that whole cycle for us illustrates something pretty unique to dōTERRA and the Healing Hands Foundation, that it isn't just about finding strong partners in country and channeling resources, but it's about making sure that there's a human touch on every step of that process. And one way for us that is pretty visible is, as we've reflected over the years of several expeditions and co-impact sourcing trips that have come, our team here in Nepal is humble and grateful to that every founder has made it out here. And that's because they felt it was important to become directly connected to where the Healing Hands Foundation resources are going, and to also support and understand the co-impact sourcing program and how it's developing. And for us as a beneficiary organization, that's powerful. And we're lucky to have a few donors make it out, and we feel blessed to know that it's a priority for every single leader at the very top, all the way through the organization to the wellness advocates who are ultimately taking that wintergreen and using it to improve their families, their communities, and themselves, which is powerful.
Okay, so did you catch all that? That's a lot, right? He's such a great guy. So what I really should have put on the banner here, you guys, is I should have had Healing Hands in here. So the difference between co-impact sourcing and Healing Hands, they're both dōTERRA charities, right? Co-impact sourcing directly works with the growers, where Healing Hands works with the growers' communities. So they're not necessarily the growers and the harvesters, but they're people who live in the communities where they source. Does that make sense? So Healing Hands is they work with CHOICE Humanitarian to do their work, and they'll only partner. They partner with them to do all of this. Now, I'm just going to go over the stuff that he said just really quickly, just to make sure you got it. So CHOICE has been around for over 30 years. Okay, they operate in 7 different countries. dōTERRA is their largest contributor, and by a large I mean by a landslide, by a huge landslide. Did you catch that he said that all of the corporate owners of dōTERRA have been to Nepal? That's really unusual, because a lot of their other contributors who help with CHOICE, they don't have a face. So they said to us, this is so unique that dōTERRA, even you guys, to come, like wellness advocates, to go over there in Nepal and be part of this and just like donate their time and money to go and help is very unique, because most people just give money but they don't actually show up. So so that was another thing. Healing Hands is actually the largest supporter in the entire country of Nepal, which is interesting. There are other supporters too, but it's the largest, and also by a landslide. Nepal would literally not run without Healing Hands, is what they told us. And in less than 2 years, over 200 wellness advocates from dōTERRA have come to Nepal to work. And that's, I think there's been just an explosive growth in people wanting to go over there since the earthquake, is really the big story behind that. So
and the nice thing is, and I think you have a slide for it, but it's not like dōTERRA just goes in and throws a bunch of money at them. They set up these micro loans and all these different ways that these people can then sustain themselves. So they just get them started, and after that, they take care of themselves.
Yeah, that was one thing that they said, is they don't just give money. That's what he was saying in the video. They don't, because that doesn't really help people. In fact, we had very strict rules about being there. We were not allowed to give people gifts or money. It sets up unfair. It sets up unfair expectations. Plus, they just don't understand it. It's not how they operate.
Yeah.
So this is the hospital project that Kelly was just telling you guys about. We're like the last ones to come in. You know, it's being inaugurated in May and opening in May. So that's really exciting. It's amazing how fast dōTERRA can get stuff done. I mean, like we were saying, the schoolhouse that we were staying in, the government started 5 years ago, and it's still in shambles. You know, so for dōTERRA to come in and build a hospital in less than a year, it's just amazing. And it's going to service over 100,000 people. So this is us. This is kind of what it looked like. I mean, the floors are beautiful, but very dirty. We just needed to do some cleanup, basically cleaning up some trash and rubble, so that they can rubbish. Yes, exactly. And yeah, so it can be ready for just the finishing stages, the painting and all of that. So yeah.
I love that picture too.
Yeah.
See how they came in? Like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know if they were formally invited. They just saw they needed help and they came in. Like they were just suddenly with us. Like,
Yeah.
around there.
Yeah. So that's the broom. It's like this little tiny like pieces of straw. And I was trying to do the same thing that Kelly was describing. I was trying to sweep it like a broom, and they're like, what on earth? But there's another one that has like kind of bendy grass that's like almost still live. And if you kind of like swoosh it like flat, you can really get like the tiny dust and stuff, and you can actually pick it up and put it in not a dustpan, but you know, whatever. Yeah. So yeah, that's one of our roommates from Jersey and Julie there, just scraping off the grout, you know. And that's the finishing product, finished product.
So how big is it? Like how many would they beds?
Yeah, they're gonna have.
There's a lot of rooms in there.
Yeah, 15 beds. And this is the first hospital where you can stay overnight. So before they have a health, so the hospital right next door, which is like as big as this area. I did a little tour while everybody.
That one.
This girl described it. She's like, let's go. She's gonna do a tour, but she said just a few of us. So just the two of us went, and we walked through. And she showed a picture of where they give birth. Oh boy, it's so dirty, and it was just I just couldn't believe where these women come in to have their babies. But so where they store their medicine was just amazing because it was just like about 8 different things, and one of them was prednisone and some stuff for skin and all these different things. And then they have clove oil for people that come in with tooth infections and mouth problems. So it was just interesting. So, yeah, for sure.
Totally. Yeah. So this is the hospital right here, and then that's the old hospital. It's bigger than it looks from this angle, but
this new one you could stay overnight. So,
yeah.
So we'll both stay open.
We'll both will stay open. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one on the right will just be for
yeah. Then we had some fun painting, helping out at the school.
The kids were always around. They were adorable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are no babysitters. They just whatever. They wander. Yeah, exactly. And then later on this night, so this is kind of fun. We were part of the Healing Hands Foundation giving. This is the mayor of where we were staying there in Makampur. Healing Hands gave him the first 50,000 of 100,000 that will go to their area. And like Julie was kind of touching on, they don't just give money. In fact, they insist that they have to figure out how to match the funds so that they value it.
In their way, not 50,000.
Right.
Yeah, like in their own way, they have to match it. So
yeah.
They value it.
And most of the microloans actually go to women primarily because the women will make that work. It's true. They said a lot of the men will drink it away or lose what they've started, but the women make it work.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I just did some
Everyone
more of the
loved Kelly.
That's right.
Because I didn't work as much as the other.
That's right.
They were very interested in my phone and like my pictures of my kids. We were instructed not to show them like our homes or our cars or that, but they loved watching like videos of my kids playing hockey and like just my dog and just those sorts of things. And then Amy actually had some videos and pictures of her Disney World recently, and they were like, "What?"
I know. I showed them It's a Small World, and they're like,
yeah. I showed them pictures actually of just like Jasper and Banff and the girl who actually is a really educated girl. Her dad is one of the head CHOICE guys, so she's educated, speaks really good English. But she looked at these pictures and she said, "Is that real?"
Yeah.
Like she couldn't believe it was real. Yeah.
These are some of the little kids. I'm gonna kind of breeze through these because they're so cute. Oh my gosh. The teenage girls. So we had some experiences. So we actually had a whole day where we actually went into visit with the village families. So we got divided up and we went to just be in their homes and visit with them and just have some Q&A time. I think this was yours, right, Julie?
Yeah. So it's just interesting learning about them. So you could ask her any questions. Every home had an interpreter. So she had an arranged marriage, didn't meet her husband until the day they got married. She was 12 years old at the time.
There's no divorce in Nepal.
Yeah, no divorce. Now the marriages aren't arranged so much there anymore, but people were asking, her husband died about maybe 17 years ago, and people said, well, did you love him? And she said, no, I didn't really like him. He drank a lot. Not too much older. It wasn't like he was like 25. He was maybe 4 years older or something. But yeah, her house actually, when we showed up, it was a big brick house, but it was all crumbled, and that actually happened in the earthquake. And so this is just a little sort of hut that she uses to cook in. And then they sort of came up with the sleeping quarters off to the side. But generally, families stay together. Her son, I think, lived there with his wife, and they just continue farming together forever. And every time we want to take a picture of one of the ladies, they get so embarrassed and they say, why do you want to take my picture? I'm so ugly. They would all say that. Yeah.
But the girls like their pictures taken.
Yeah,
The young girls do.
I
Yeah.
had more selfies than I've had more girls, like teenage girls,
yeah.
come up to me and like
Oh,
want
yeah.
to take pictures.
And they actually have
YouTube,
phones.
Like,
They
they
have phones.
love pictures.
Yeah, some of them.
This
Some of them.
generation.
If they're a little more educated, they said they usually
Yeah.
have phones.
Yeah. So this is my family. She cooked for a little bit and shared with us. She was telling us a story. This is her little kind of makeshift kitchen. You can see their houses are so smoky, and you can see why. Like they just cook. They have fires going all the time inside their house, and their clothing, it's black from the soot. Yeah, and they hang their corn up on the ceiling so the rats and mice don't get them. So it can dry out and they can have that. This is the father of the house, or the husband. Very serious for pictures, but then he's laughing the whole time, like smiling with these like picture. So it's really funny. I was cracking up over that one. But he had never. He said that he was hungover. He's like, so we're passing around oils. He's like, will this help my hangover? Basically, we're like, yeah. So. And this is their grandson. Sad story. His mother, their daughter, died of cancer when she was 25. So he is actually being raised in Kathmandu, goes to school in Kathmandu, and is raised by an aunt who is their other daughter. So, and then, yeah, this is just them. Okay, and then this is your family, right?
Oh yeah, this is my family. I sat right next to this lady. Can you see her foot?
Yeah. Check out that bunion.
So, yeah, this was the most profound few hours of my trip personally, because the family I went to see, this woman here on the left was very shy, and the feeling in her home just literally took my breath away. When I walked in, it was just dark. It's just interesting to go in a home with no electricity, first of all, because it's dark. You are used to walking into bright spaces, and you go up about 6 to 8 stairs, and then she was just waiting on the left and waiting for us to come. She was making her lunch, and she was just very quiet. And she was very grateful for her wood. She just burns fire in her home, but she does it by a window because then the smoke can go out the window. And but not everybody even has that. So she was just grateful to have that. I mean, you sit on the floor, you can see here, right? You're sitting on dirt. This is her home. And she's eating a potato for lunch. It's hard to rewatch.
Yeah.
They have so little. So we asked her to open her pantry, and it was 5 spices. That's what's in her pantry. So there's no cereal, there's no crackers. She has ginger, masala, curry, salt, and pepper. That's her pantry. And she's really excited about that, though. That's a lot for her. And so I'm just gonna, you can't really see it, those on Zoom, but I forgot to send this to you, but I'll put it up high, and I just want to show you the knife is on the floor, and this is her cutting a potato. And you might not be able to see it from here, but so this is her talking to us, and she's just cutting. Her neighbors talk a lot. There's a green onion, as you can see, and she's just making her lunch. And you'll see that knife is her only knife in her, and that's how she cuts. Can you see a little bit? No, her foot's holding the knife on the floor,
And then she just breaks
it by putting it. Yeah, exactly. This is her. It's her kitchen, and when you're there and you're watching this go down, you realize this is very different from our world. Very, very different. So it was a very touching experience for me. We spent a few hours there, and her presence was mesmerizing to me. I couldn't take my eyes off of her. She was just a beautiful woman that lives very simply, but grateful for everything she has. And this is her neighbor who's talking the whole time.
The chatterbox.
That wanted to come over to see who the people were coming to see. So, okay. Yeah. Does she have kids? She has a few kids, and they do go to school. So she was very happy. She didn't want to take pictures. None of them do.
No.
I'm like, I don't want my picture either, but we have to do it.
Our team is waiting, right? I just put a few random ones in here. Yeah, just some beautiful villagers. Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. And then we had another ceremony to say goodbye. It was another 2 hours, and it was.
But it's interesting. I mean, I wish we could shoot all my videos, but the teenagers, they put together skits. So literally, like, they push each other. Like, it's almost like a soap opera done in music. And then they'll be mad at each other, and then they'll make up and start doing a dance about it. Yeah. It goes on and on and on. They've practiced this skit to music a long time. And so they want you to watch them. It's like a play.
I loved it.
Yeah. It's really quite interesting.
Kind of a dance video. Yeah, that's part of the farewell. Just pictures. This is probably from the bus, I think.
Yeah, we had the bus thing again.
We had to do it again. Go back. Had to go back.
We were ready.
This is our security guy and our medic.
They said the thing they would bring next time, the one thing they almost ran right out of was not nausea medication.
They used it all on us.
Yeah.
They ran it on. And the IVs.
Wow. Yeah, right on the side of the road.
Yeah. This is the airport in Kathmandu. So we went back to Kathmandu. That was kind of a fiasco. But anyway, we ended up leaving the next day instead of the same day. We actually lined up to board the plane 3 times, and then finally did board the plane, and then had to deplane because of weather. So Pokhara is where we went, and
so that was the end of our humanitarian, I should say. Now
yeah,
a few days.
It was 5 days.
Yeah. So then 2 days at the end, they flew us to another place in Nepal to explore.
Yeah, to have some fun, to celebrate at the end. Yeah. So Pokhara is kind of a vacation place for even local people.
Here, raise your hand up in here. Yeah, these 2 gals here.
Oh, cool.
And some hiking there.
Oh, nice. Cool. Oh, that's so awesome. Nice. Okay, cool. Yeah, lots of trekkers. We ran into a lot of trekkers. So it actually was kind of serendipitous that our flight was canceled because of the weather, because we were actually able to see the Himalayas on this short 30-minute flight, and we wouldn't have been able to otherwise. So Pokhara kind of has its own little microclimate, kind of like San Francisco, where every morning it usually is clear for a little bit, and then the fog sort of moisture comes in, and then they'll have this like downpour at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon. And when it's just this random downpour where the streets were completely dry earlier, and then all of a sudden you're walking in puddles, like waiting. Yeah. So it's just kind of an interesting thing. So we were actually able to see the mountains. This picture doesn't do it justice. But
is that what you guys climbed? Was it Fishtail?
In that region.
Okay.
Yeah. In that area.
Yeah.
This isn't Fishtail, but that picture right there, that painting is. That's Fishtail. This is part of it. I think it's over that way.
Oh, yeah.
But the mountains are just breathtaking. They're just it doesn't do it justice. You get off the plane and you're like looking up, and you're like, they're so tall. And they're right there. And it was nice to see a real toilet again. No more squatty potty. So it was a really nice accommodation.
You should talk about your massage.
Oh yeah, it's in there. Don't worry. So this is a little lake we went to. We went on a little boat ride. Super fun. There's this little island where there was a temple. The temple was.
Few stairs. This is really.
Oh yeah, this one was a trek.
An hour later.
Some people climbed from the bottom all the way to the top, like a trillion stairs. We took the bus.
Yeah,
but it's still.
And then we still had to climb all the way to the stairs.
Yeah, there was still a bit of a trek up there, but gorgeous view. I mean, look at it. It's like it was just breathtaking. Then we went back down and hung out in Pokhara. We went to this. We got a singing bowl. Each of us got singing bowls. We can show that to you after. It was a lot of fun. Julie, couldn't include video footage, but Julie actually had this guy. The bowl was like on her head, and he was like doing its thing, like digging it, and it took her headache away, right?
Well, yeah. Well, I didn't have a headache. It goes on the area pain in your body, but the vibrations reduces the pain.
It does. That's what it's supposed to do, and it felt super cool. Yeah.
And they actually use it for chakra balancing. You can see the chakra balancing chart behind this lady. And this is you can see this, the water is just dancing here, right? Like all she's doing is just kind of getting it to hum.
just slowly working around the bowl, and it's crazy to see the water just dance. It was really, really fun. This is a project that they do for women to give them some work. Nepalese women's skills development project. They make these handbags and really cute zippies. We have some over here to show you. So these were some fun souvenirs that we brought home, and it was cool just to know that we were supporting them and giving them jobs. This is our special massage.
So all three of us were supposed to have a massage, and we showed up, and they said we only have room for 2.
Oh, peace out.
Kelly was like, she's like, that's okay, you guys go ahead. So we're like, okay. So we go in here, this little quaint room for 2, and they pass us these panties. So Amy slipped hers on no problem. I got mine to about my ankle. I was like, these aren't going on. I was like freaking out. And so then I realized, I'm trying to put it through the leg hole. And I got it on the right way, thank goodness. Yeah, and then the massage started.
Oh, normally I wouldn't, TMI, I don't normally wear anything for massage, but we were really glad we put the underwear on.
Yeah, we really were. Anyway,
she was saying, when I came back to my room, they were a color I had never seen. What happened to you girls?
Not sure if we were just violated.
I don't know if I liked it, if I hated it. I don't know. So anyways, these girls really worked us over. I probably don't need a breast exam, but we're good. Yeah, we're good. And then they take the legs and put them up over your head, which is when the underwear came in handy. So
that was really fun.
And the whole time I just kept thinking, Kelly is going to be so glad she's not here.
It was not. I made wise choices the entire trip.
You were really smart.
I cookies down when I knew I needed to. Sounds like you guys have a great time.
It's true. You were really smart, Kelly. This is just some more shopping. Oh, I bought a knife from this guy on the right. When we told him what we were doing, that's why we were in Nepal. He's like, "Are you trekking or sightseeing?" Or we told him about what we were doing. He was really, really, really touched by that. Anyway, the knife that I bought for my son is over there on the back table. This was a cave. Oh no.
We hiked down about 40 minutes and another few hundred stairs, and Amy and I were this close to being done. Maybe 5 seconds. But it got into this very narrow area, and we were like, peace out again. Hiking all the way back up.
I couldn't do it.
Julie could tell you what happened.
Yeah.
Because we couldn't.
Probably.
I know you have a video of it, but I don't have a picture.
Oh.
I don't have a picture. But anyway, you can tell us. What did it look like?
It was nothing that great. Okay, so yeah, we're going in there for the purpose of seeing a waterfall. It was very shady. It was just scaffolding everywhere. And then if you go down to the very end, you do see a waterfall, but coming from where we are here,
it's like meh.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. So on our way out, one of the people that was with us, the wellness advocate, she just randomly started massaging this beggar woman, and it was a really special experience. At first, you can see the expression on her face. She's kind of like, I don't know about this. Okay, and then check it. Right? This was so touching. I think it's so special.
The oils have the power to move mountains, honestly. That was the one thing that every time led us into these people's world, was one drop of oil.
And all of a sudden everything changed, and their countenance and all the barriers came down, right? Yeah. This I just put this in here so you knew how many of you are going to convention this year? Right? Okay, good. Okay. So these two ladies, Shelly on the far right in the black, she is, and she's over all of dōTERRA events, big events. And then this is her assistant, Candace, and they're amazing. It was fun to get to know them because usually we don't see them. They're doing these huge events, but I've never met her before.
They were fun.
Yeah, super fun. And they worked really, really hard to make a really good trip for us. And I should just say really quickly that the security guy and the medic, they did a wonderful job. We really felt like we were in good hands the whole time. These are just some random pictures from Kathmandu. Gorgeous pictures.
We said, it's all this garbage around, all this rubble from the earthquake, and they said, oh no, we're cleaned up from the earthquake. This is normal.
Looks really good, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah. And you just see
cows
just
everywhere
randomly.
because they worship cows there. A lot of people will move and just actually abandon their cows, and so they run through like the busiest streets. Some lay down and sleep in the middle of the street, but nobody will do anything about it.
It's totally random.
Powerful.
Yeah, I had to take a picture of that because that was just insane. Yeah, and we did a little bit of shopping there the very last day.
I had like my first asthma attack in like my whole last 10 years in this little, go back, bad memories right there.
Oh, yeah.
Not the wise, that was not a wise choice.
The air quality was not good.
Burn incense like everywhere. And if you get caught into a really closed space with air quality and then you have like 8 different incense coming your way, motorcycles right in front of you, it was just like I was having a hard time breathing.
Yeah. And the streets were very dirty. Like it was just blowing up in my eyes and my lungs.
I did wipe out. Real, not fancy wipe out all over.
Yeah, you wiped out.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
fall.
Oh,
yeah.
gosh.
Got right back up there.
Oh, gosh.
It was embarrassing.
Oh, and we fell in love with all the little felt things. We've got a few hanging around. Just really cute things. Oh, this is
So just a few stairs of one place.
this is one of the places that we visited too. It's called the Monkey Temple. We got a lot of pictures here. It was so beautiful. So yeah, they were actually monkeys there. There's kind of this guru, although the people who were with us were like, that guy's totally fake. But we took a picture anyway because he looked really cool. Yeah. And that was the view. Like, I mean, it was a ton of stairs, but it was worth it. It was really, and it was it's a temple, so they were worshiping. And the Tibetan flags, prayer flags, everywhere. You know, just like pictures of base camp or, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't get enough of those. Another monkey. So, yeah. So just to kind of quickly wrap up, how can you be involved? The best way to be involved is to donate to Healing Hands, because Healing Hands has its own foundation, but also donates to the co-impact sourcing. You know, such a great way to help these communities around the world. Anytime you place an order with dōTERRA, you have the option to donate to Healing Hands. Yeah.
I thought when I was doing Callie's camp that we in Canada, if we still have the old back office, don't have that option.
Oh, is that true? Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to be changing shortly. I have a US dollar fee. So.
For the rose lotion.
Yeah, but the road. Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah. Yeah.
I think you can quick add it into your cart and add your own donation as well. So maybe that works in Canada, not the US.
Yeah, we were trying
Can
to
you
figure it
do?
out.
Can you do a screenshot of that sometime
I'll
if you do
try.
it?
I'll do my
Because I
best
think
to
that would
remember.
really help a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like
But a lot of that money, that
$1.
700,000, was from clicking the $1 donation. So it's just $1.
Yeah, just $1 each time. It doesn't have to be a massive amount, right? Another way, go on a sourcing trip. You know, hit silver or partner with a silver who makes it on the list and be their +1.
I heard that rule is not true any longer.
Oh, okay.
So I'll find out.
Okay, cool. Yeah, let's find out and then we can share with everybody. Go to a Days for Girls event. They have them everywhere, but right here in Calgary, you know, second Saturday of every month down at the sewing room. And by the way, I have her business cards here on the table, my sewing room. If you want the address, but we'll probably be posting it on the different Facebook groups too. Coming to convention, that's a really fun way to learn. You don't have to be doing dōTERRA as a business to come to convention. Convention is for everyone. If you just want to learn about essential oils and you just dig dōTERRA,
There's actually no business training at convention.
Yeah, they don't do that anymore. Yeah,
So
it's all about oil education. Yeah, and it's in September. Yeah.
It's sold out. So they sold 40,000 tickets in about 4 hours. It's sold out. But as it gets closer, people, I'm already starting to
There's a Facebook group that you can follow, and people always post tickets that they have for sale. And that's the only way you can get birch oil.
Right, right. It's with the convention kit. Birch oil.
It's amazing.
Yeah, because they don't sell it regularly. It's just something that you can only get in an exclusive kit. So, yeah. And then lastly, join our team. If you want to give us a try and share dōTERRA, if you're already sharing anyway, a lot of people are and don't even realize it. That's actually how I got started. It was completely by accident. I was working in San Francisco as a full-time musician, and I was giving on-guard throat drops to all my singers and who I accompanied for, professional singers who were like, I have an audition and my throat hurts. You know, they're paranoid. So I kept sharing oils and everybody wanted them. So, you know, I thought I should actually give this a real try. And here I am 7 years later. So, so yeah. And what are some of the many reasons that we love dōTERRA?
superior product. They're the best essential oil company in the world. I mean, we know that they surpass quality, and for good reason. We know what they do. They do beyond testing that's ever required from any industry in the U.S. or Canada or anywhere. What else?
It's a weird thing to say, and maybe I've said it to a few of you before, but one day I was like thinking honestly, like, why do I love dōTERRA? And the only thing that kept going through my mind is because they love me. Like, I feel so loved by this company, and I feel that they're so generous, and they're always giving back, and they're always empowering and encouraging people to be better. So that alone is a huge part of it for me.
Their heart is so big.
And I really trust them. Like, when I first started out, I did worry, like, what if one day I find out this is all just a joke? And I shared it with all my friends and family who I love, and then the more I got to know about the company, and when I got to meet all the executives, and I'm just, their heart is so real and pure, and they're in this to truly make a difference in the entire world, and they're doing it in the most ethical and awesome way. So yeah,
absolutely. The business side isn't for everybody, but you might be surprised to find out the types of people who do this. Just some of the different kinds of people that we have on our team. We have naturopathic doctors, several. We have chiropractors, we have dentists, we have massage therapists, we have tons of mommies. In fact, some mommies, some of the best, most successful mommies on my team don't have any secondary education.
Some don't even have high school educations.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody can be successful.
Absolutely.
It attracts this room of people that we have right here. I looked around this room at the beginning, I'm like, this is what dōTERRA attracts, are people like you, people with big hearts, who just want to make the world better. And truly, that's the first thing I thought of when I came in here and saw you all sitting here.
Yeah, for sure. So anyway, if that's something that is of interest to you, or you want to talk more about it, just let us know, and we'd be happy to chat sometime. But anyway, I hope you liked this, and we're so grateful that you could come and spend your evening with us. And we have some fun stuff to share. Look around the room. We've got all of our fun souvenirs that we brought home with us, and we have some. So Julie made some dal. Dal is this, when the trekkers go up, to the higher elevations, there aren't restaurants or anything. You eat dal. It's rice and this kind of like chickpea lentil, right? Yeah, like lentil dish, and that's what you eat. So we made a whole bunch to share with you, and yeah, have fun, stay, visit. Oh yes. Do you want to say something about that?
I was going to say that it's funny because you travel to anywhere, one thing's universal, but everything's Coke. And even if you don't drink Coke, we drink a Coke like every day so that we didn't get sick. Like my husband tells us quite a lot, we have a Coke a day. If your experience in Nepal, you will have your knowledge of Coke. But we did it normally.
All right. Yeah, and for all of you online, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you later.